The morning of March 3rd, 2026 began like any other in the sterile, hum-filled corridors of the European Space Operations Centre in Darmstadt. Outside, the world was waking up to a standard Tuesday. The mundane traffic of the morning commute, the steam rising from coffee cups, the soft glow of a spring sun barely touching the horizon. But inside the control room, the atmosphere was electric, and thick with the kind of heavy silence that only occurs when human beings are confronted with something they cannot explain. The usual chatter of engineers was absent, replaced by the rhythmic, scrolling click of data packets arriving from the deep cold of the outer solar system. For months we have tracked the interstellar visitor known as 3I/Atlas. It has been a ghost in our machine since its discovery, an object that has systematically defied every mathematical model of cometary behaviour we possess. We watched, breathless, as it survived a suicidal dive into the sun's corona in October, emerging not as a fragmented cloud of dust, but as a sharpened, intensified version of itself. We analysed the data as it appeared to feed on solar radiation, recharging like a cosmic battery before setting its sights on the next gravitational anchor in our system. Now, on this specific March morning, the trajectory has led it into the orbital neighbourhood of the king of planets, Jupiter. The significance of this date cannot be overstated. In the world of orbital mechanics, timing is everything. Had 3I/Atlas arrived a week earlier or later, it might have passed through the Jovian system as a distant blurry dot on our long-range sensors. But the universe, or perhaps the object itself, seemed to have a different plan. On the morning of March 3rd, 3I/Atlas crossed the orbital plane at the exact moment necessary for a close-range encounter. This wasn't just a flyby, it was a confrontation between a relic of another star system and the most powerful gravitational vacuum in our own. As the first light of dawn hit the satellite dishes on Earth, the telemetry began to shift. We weren't looking at a dirty snowball anymore. The spectral data streaming across the monitors was too clean, the curves too precise. There is a specific feeling of vertigo that comes with looking at raw data that contradicts your entire education. Astronomers who had spent 30 years studying the chaotic, crumbling nature of comets found themselves staring at a signature that remained stubbornly, eerily stable. The morning of March 3rd was the moment the comet label finally began to disintegrate in the minds of the scientific community. You could see it in the eyes of the lead investigators, the realization that we were no longer tracking a rock, but something with structural integrity that defied the vacuum. As the sun climbed higher over the European horizon, the first packets of imaging data from the JUICE spacecraft began their long trek across the void, travelling at the speed of light to tell us a story we weren't sure we were ready to hear. The wait was over. The first close-up was here, and the solar system felt suddenly, profoundly smaller. We were no longer just observers of the dark. We were witnesses to a presence that had travelled across the light years to meet us on this very morning. The Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, known affectionately in the scientific community as JUICE, was never intended to be a hunter of interstellar ghosts. When it launched from French Guiana, its manifest was clear and grounded in our own planetary backyard. It was a multi-billion-euro laboratory designed for a singular, grueling marathon, to spend years orbiting the gas giant, peeling back the icy layers of Ganymede, Callisto and Europa, to see if the dark subsurface oceans hidden there could harbour the sparks of life. It was built for the patient study of gravity and ice, not for an adrenaline-fueled intercept with a high-velocity traveller from another star. But as the morning of March 3rd arrived, the mission parameters shifted forever. Space is vast, almost incomprehensibly so, and the odds of a spacecraft being in the right place at the right time to catch a glimpse of an interstellar object are statistical miracles. Yet, as 3I/Atlas began its approach to the Jovian system, the orbital mechanics aligned with a precision that felt almost scripted. The European Space Agency realised that JUICE was the only high-resolution eye positioned in the deep dark, perfectly situated to act as an unexpected witness. The decision was made weeks prior, but the execution happened in the silent hours leading up to this morning. Commands were beamed across the void, travelling at the speed of light, instructing the spacecraft to pause its long-term observations of the Galilean moons. The manoeuvre was delicate. A JUICE had to tilt its massive solar arrays, the largest ever flown on a deep space mission, to ensure its sensitive Janus camera and the major spectrometer could lock onto a target moving at a relative velocity that pushed the limits of its tracking software. On the morning of March 3rd, the spacecraft's onboard computers executed the final slew. For the first time, a human-made instrument was not looking at a blurred smudge through the distortion of Earth's atmosphere or the distant lens of Hubble. It was looking at 3I/Atlas from a vantage point of proximity that changed everything. This was the moment of the first close-up. As the data packets were reassembled in the Mission Control Center, the room fell into a heavy, contemplative silence. The image that materialized on the screens was not the chaotic snow globe mess of a comet. There were no jagged edges of breaking ice, no irregular venting that characterizes a dying rock. Instead, Deduce captured a silhouette that was startlingly clean. The unexpected witness had caught 3I/Atlas in its true form, a structured, elongated entity that seemed to absorb the harsh radiation of the Jovian environment rather than being battered by it. The cameras revealed a surface texture that defied the dirty snowball theory. Instead of cratered ice, there was a sheen, a matte, dark finish that seemed to possess a geometric intentionality. It was as if Juice had stumbled upon a silent and ancient ship navigating the celestial currents. The mission scientists, who had spent their careers dreaming of the plumes of Europa, found themselves staring at something far more immediate and far more mysterious. Juice, the explorer of moons, had become the biographer of an interstellar legend. On this morning, the spacecraft ceased to be just a tool of Jovian science. It became the bridge between our world and the vast, unknown intelligence of the galaxy. The first close-up was no longer a dream. It was a digital reality, etched into the memory banks of a witness that was never supposed to be there. For the better part of a century, our understanding of comets has been anchored by a single, evocative phrase: the dirty snowball. Proposed by astronomer Fred Whipple in 1950, this model suggested that these celestial wanderers were merely loose conglomerates of water ice, frozen gases, and ancient stardust, fragile remnants of a solar system's violent birth that crumble and hiss as they approach the warmth of a star. We expected 3I/Atlas to follow this script. We expected to see a chaotic, fuzzy coma of outgassing vapor and a jagged, irregular nucleus scarred by billions of years of deep freeze. But as the high-resolution data from Juice's Janus camera began to render on the morning of March 3rd, that 60-year-old myth didn't just crack, it shattered. The image that filled the high-definition monitors at Mission Control was an affront to traditional cometary physics. Instead of a cloud of dust obscuring the view, the space around 3I/Atlas was eerily clear. There was no snow and very little dirt being shed into the vacuum. What Juice revealed was a body with a surface so defined and edges so sharp, they looked as if they had been machined rather than formed by random collisions in a molecular cloud. The silhouette was elongated, yes, but it possessed a terrifyingly perfect symmetry. There were no impact craters, no fissures leaking white plumes of steam, and no signs of the structural instability that usually plagues objects travelling at these velocities. The most striking feature captured in this first close-up was the lack of a traditional coma. Normally, a comet's head is a messy, turbulent atmosphere of gas and dust pushed back by solar wind. But 3I/Atlas seemed to be holding its material close to its chest. The sensors showed a localized, translucent envelope that followed the contours of the object with mathematical precision. It wasn't a cloud, it was a boundary layer. This led to an immediate and frantic recalculation of the object's density. If it were a dirty snowball, the tidal forces of its recent solar passage and its current proximity to Jupiter's massive gravity well should have started to pull it apart. It should have been shedding stringers of ice. Instead, 3I/Atlas remained stubbornly, impossibly whole. Furthermore, the dirty aspect of the myth, the dark, carbonaceous dust, was nowhere to be found in the expected concentrations. When Juice used its spectrometer to analyze the light bouncing off the object, it didn't find the messy signature of silicate dust and simple organics. It found a surface that was remarkably uniform, reflecting light in a way that suggested a metallic or composite lattice. The snowball was gone, replaced by something that looked like it belonged in a shipyard rather than a debris field. By mid-morning on March 3rd, the realization had settled into the collective mind of the scientific community. We're no longer dealing with a natural byproduct of star formation. The dirty snowball model provides comfort because it implies a mindless drifting rock governed by the simple laws of thermodynamics. But 3I/Atlas is not drifting, and it certainly isn't melting. It is an object that maintains its form against the most violent forces the solar system can throw at it. As we looked at those first clear pixels, we weren't looking at a relic of the past. We were looking at a masterclass in structural engineering from a corner of the galaxy we have yet to name. The myth has died, and in its place, a much more complex and perhaps more unsettling reality has been born. As the morning of March 3rd progressed and the first raw data packets from JUICE were translated into visual architecture, the atmosphere in the control room shifted from professional curiosity to a heavy, contemplative awe. In the study of deep space objects, we're accustomed to the lumpy aesthetic of nature. Asteroids look like cosmic potatoes. Comets resemble charred, irregular charcoal briquettes. Nature, in its rawest form, rarely speaks in straight lines or perfect curves. Yet, as the silhouette of 3I/Atlas sharpened against the backdrop of Jupiter's swirling ammonia clouds, the geometry revealed was nothing short of haunting. It was a shape that demanded a new vocabulary, a geometry of the void that looked less like a product of accretion and more like a product of intent. The close-up images revealed a central body that possessed a startlingly consistent ratio. It wasn't just elongated, it was balanced. Astronomers began to refer to it as a fuselage, a term usually reserved for aircraft, because no other word seemed to fit the structural logic on display. The object featured a primary, cylindrical core with tapering ends that didn't just crumble away into the vacuum but met at precise geometric points. Along the lateral sides of this structure, JUICE's high-resolution sensors picked up subtle, longitudinal ridges, parallel lines that ran the length of the body like reinforced ribbing. In a natural rock, such features would be erased by billions of years of micrometeoroid impacts. In 3I/Atlas, they were as crisp as if they had been forged yesterday. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this geometry was its response to light. As 3I/Atlas rotated, not with the chaotic three-axis tumble of Oumuamua, but with a stabilized rhythmic spin, the way the sun's light caught these edges was revealing. We saw specular reflections, the kind of sharp or mirror-like glints you get from polished surfaces or structured lattices. There was no soft scattering of light that you'd expect from a dusty, porous surface. This was an object designed to maintain its profile, to minimize its cross-section, and perhaps to withstand the immense tidal stresses of the Jovian gravity it was currently navigating. The geometry of the void also extended to the object's orientation. On this March morning, as it accelerated toward its closest approach to Jupiter, the long axis of 3I/Atlas remained perfectly aligned with its vector of travel. In celestial mechanics, a passive object usually tumbles based on the last collision it had millions of years ago. But 3I/Atlas was pointing. It was oriented like a needle moving through a fabric. This suggests a distribution of mass that is not random. To achieve this kind of geometric stability, the interior of the object must be as organized as its exterior. We are looking at a masterclass in structural economy. Every line on 3I/Atlas seems to serve a purpose, whether it is for thermal distribution, structural reinforcement, or something more exotic like the channeling of the blue energy field we observed earlier. As the scientists measured the angles, many of which appeared to be recurring constants, the realization set in: this is not the work of gravity and time alone. This is the geometry of something that was meant to travel between the stars. It is a shape that doesn't just exist in the vacuum, it masters it. On the morning of March 3rd, the first close-up gave us more than just a picture. It gave us a blueprint of an intelligence that thinks in terms of symmetry, endurance, and flow. The void is no longer empty, it is occupied by a shape that knows exactly where it is going. As the morning of March 3rd progressed, the JUICE spacecraft began to transmit data that went beyond mere visual silhouettes. While the geometric precision of 3I/Atlas was enough to unsettle the team in Darmstadt, it was the multispectral analysis of the light surrounding the object that truly defied explanation. Wrapped around the sharp, metallic-looking fuselage was a persistent, ethereal blue glow, a phenomenon that has come to be known as the blue energy field. In the cold, unforgiving vacuum of the Jovian system, where light is weak and shadows are absolute, this radiance stood out like a neon sign in a desert. Initially, skeptics within the mission control room argued that we were simply seeing a typical ion tail, the result of solar radiation stripping electrons from cometary gas. But as the spectrometers began to break down the light into its constituent parts, that theory evaporated. A standard ion tail is a chaotic, flowing ribbon that stretches millions of miles away from the sun, unbuffeted by the solar wind. This blue light was different. It didn't flow away. It clung. It followed the contours of 3I/Atlas with a thickness of only a few hundred meters, forming a luminous envelope that remained stable even as the object accelerated. It wasn't a tail, it was an atmosphere of pure energy. The color itself was a mystery. It was a specific, vibrant shade of cerulean that doesn't occur naturally in the vacuum unless there is a high-energy ionization process at play. On this March morning, JUICE's sensors recorded that the field was not static. It appeared to pulse with a low-frequency rhythm, a soft breathing of light that correlated exactly with the electromagnetic signatures the spacecraft was picking up. When 3I/Atlas passed through a particularly dense patch of Jupiter's magnetosphere, the blue field didn't flicker or fade, it brightened. It was as if the object was actively interacting with the Jovian environment, drawing in particles and processing them through this shimmering boundary. The scientists began to look at the data through the lens of physics that borders on the speculative. Some suggested it was a Cherenkov radiation effect, light emitted when charged particles pass through a medium faster than the speed of light in that medium, but that would require a density of matter that simply wasn't there. Others proposed a more radical idea, that we were witnessing an active propulsion system or a protective shield. If 3I/Atlas is truly an interstellar traveller, it has spent eons crossing the radiation-soaked void between stars. A field like this would be the only way to protect a delicate internal structure from the constant bombardment of cosmic rays. On the morning of March 3rd, the blue energy field became the defining characteristic of this close-up encounter. As JUICE moved into a position to look at the object against the dark backdrop of the Jovian night side, the glow became even more pronounced. It wasn't just reflecting the sun, it was generating its own luminosity. It cast a faint, ghostly blue light onto the nearby dust particles, illuminating the void in a way that felt deeply unnatural. This was the moment the storytelling changed. We weren't just looking at a rock in space. We were looking at something that carried its own environment with it, a bubble of controlled energy moving through a universe of chaos. As the morning wore on, the blue light of 3I/Atlas served as a silent, glowing reminder that our understanding of natural phenomena is still just a flickering candle in a very large, very dark room.